Hey everyone, Scott the Scottman. We're here to do a drive video today. And for the next couple minutes, I pardon the sun a little bit because we'll be driving east for the first couple minutes and then we'll eventually be heading south where visibility will be a lot better. So anyway, we are doing a video today going south on US Highway 23, going from M-14 just north of Ann Arbor, Michigan, and we're going to be going all the way into Ohio today. We're going to be going all the way to where it meets up with I-475 in the Toledo metro area down in Sylvania. I'm trying to get over the right lane, but the person to the right of me is not being nice. Although I can get over now. But yeah, this is a little concurrency for Highway 23 with M14. Which runs about, I think, about like a couple miles. But yeah, kind of like how I'm starting to do I-75 south now that I've done all of I-75 north. I'm doing the same thing a little bit for US Highway 23, at least in the southeast Michigan area. Because there's still some videos up in northeast Michigan on 23 that I should try to film at some point. Of course, those will take a lot longer because it's a lot further of a drive for me. But yeah, I forgot when it was. I think it was in the past couple of years. I filmed 23 going north, kind of in the same direction, but in the same stretch of freeway. But this time we're going the opposite direction. So right here, this is where 23 branches off from M14. M14 continues to the left, goes toward Plymouth and Livonia, Michigan, and eventually meets up with I-96 to go into downtown Detroit, or just west of downtown Detroit. We're 23 south. This will take us in between Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti, and then we head down to the Toledo area. Although for where we're going to the video, we'll technically be going to Sylvania, which is one of the metro areas of Ann Arbor. I mean, Toledo, excuse me. So yeah, this stretch of 23 can get really busy, especially during rush hour traffic, just because this is a very busy and highly traveled corridor, especially because of M14, and we got people going really slow in the fast lane right now. But it could be just because I think there are a lot of people who came off of M14 coming from the Metro Detroit area. But yeah, it is nice and sunny out, although it started out kind of foggy. But it's starting to clear out now. But yeah, it is really warm out right now. It is like only 9:30 or 30 minutes after 9, and it is already, my car thermometer is already reading 81 degrees Fahrenheit, or like 27 degrees Celsius. So, and it's supposed to get hot today, like not like what we're seeing now in the southern part of the United States, but it's supposed to, I think, get up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, around 32, 33 degrees Celsius. So it's going to be a hot one. It's also very humid out too. So we got a lot of moisture from the Gulf of Mexico that has gone this far north, and I think even a lot of it's going all the way up to the Upper Peninsula too. Which I say is probably the most humid air mass we've seen the entire summer. So yeah, it's a good day for me just to film some driving videos, because yeah, with the driving videos, I have a few lined up that will be going up on YouTube, but the only thing is I have a lot more vlogs that I filmed than driving videos. So with this being a very hot and humid weekend, it'd be a good time to do some driving videos. That way I can stay in air conditioning and not have to worry about sweating up a storm just walking around a city for like 5 minutes. So yeah, this exit here is for Getty's Road. And yeah, for the sign further back, if you want to visit the Gerald Ford Presidential Library, you can get off at this exit here. But what's really interesting is that because a lot of the more modern presidents president dating back to Herbert Hoover, if I'm not mistaken, and then maybe some presidents even before Hoover. They have like presidential libraries and museums, and they tend to be together. But for some reason, former President Gerald Ford has a presidential library and a presidential museum in different locations. What I mean is that the presidential library is here in the Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti area, although I think it has Ann Arbor mailing address, where the presidential museum is in Grand Rapids, just on the western banks of the Grand River as the river goes through downtown Grand Rapids. I haven't been to either one of them. Should try to check them out one time though. Of course, the only problem is I think the presidential library for Gerald Ford, I think it's only open during the week, and of course I work during the week. Or the presidential museum, on the other hand, in Grand Rapids, that is open on the weekends. But yeah, it's like especially when I learn more about the U.S. presidents. Oh, about that in a second. So that exit back there, that's M-17, that goes east into Ypsilanti, and then to the west is no longer M-17, but it's like business I-94, and that goes into Ann Arbor. But it's like, yeah, it's like a lot. What am I trying to say here? It's like if you want to learn more about the U.S. presidents, definitely check out all these different presidential library museums that they have all around the United States. Because like Gerald Ford has his library here in Ann Arbor, and his museum in Grand Rapids, where all the other presidents have them in different other states. So this is like the only one, I believe it's in Michigan. It's like, yeah, I remember when I went to Boston last year, I would have loved to have gone to the JFK Museum, but because it was still like heavy duty to the pandemic, it was still closed, so I couldn't go to it. And right here, this is the exit for I-94, which, yeah, I-94 east, I'll take out toward eventually to Detroit, and it goes right by Detroit Metro Airport, and then before that, of course, goes by or near the Willow Run Airport. I-94 west, that of course takes you through the southern part of Michigan, and eventually takes you out to Chicago. Yeah, there's a lot of traffic on 23 today. But yeah, as we get south of I-94, now we start to get out to the Michigan countryside. And coming up in a half mile, we have the exit for US Highway 12, which take that to the southwest. Highway 12 goes to Saline and then to other different communities in southern Michigan, like Clinton, Michigan, not to be confused with Clinton Township, Michigan. And it continues out toward Coldwater and then to Sturgis and eventually out toward Niles and New Buffalo before heading into Indiana, going over to Michigan City and then to Gary, Indiana. And it makes its way over toward the Chicago area. So you can say Highway 12 is more of a scenic route to get to Chicago if you wanted to stay off the freeway. Can't really see it probably in the video, but yeah, I can see it with my eyes. But yeah, I can see some low clouds up ahead. Oh, my current thermometer actually has gone down a little bit. It's now like 78 degrees, so just a little over 25 degrees Celsius. So it's a little cooler, but it's really muggy out. But yeah, anyway, so it's like, yeah, but the presidential museums and libraries, so I think every president, if not, or almost every president, I think since Herbert Hoover, has their own library and museum. And I don't know when it's supposed to be open. I think the first one that's not even opening. I think there's going to be one for former President Barack Obama. It's going to, not sure when it's supposed to open up, but that's going to be going up in Chicago. And then like George W. Bush has his, I think it's in Dallas, if I'm not mistaken. Or I know there's one in Dallas. I don't know if it's for George W. Bush or it's for his dad, George H.W. Bush. And then Bill Clinton has one in Little Rock, Arkansas. Ronald Reagan has one. I forgot where in California. It's somewhere in like Southern California, if I remember right. And of course JFK is in Boston. It's like, yeah, they're all over the place. Yeah. So if you're a big history buff, especially on American history or the presidents of the United States of America, it's like, yeah, definitely check those out. I have not been to a single one yet, although unless something changes, I am planning to go to Grand Rapids around Labor Day weekend, and I'll finally get to check out the Presidential Museum for Gerald Ford. So that'd be pretty cool. Because, yeah, it's like the interesting thing is I think Gerald Ford was the only U.S. president who was never elected. Because he only became president because former President Richard Nixon ended up resigning because of the whole Watergate scandal. And then, according to the United States Constitution, the next person in line for the presidency goes from after the president would be the vice president, and of course then it goes to the Speaker of the House. So because Richard Nixon resigned, that's why Gerald Ford became the president. And then when the next presidential election came up, where Ford was up for re-election, or technically election, he went up against Jimmy Carter, and Jimmy Carter ended up winning that election. Okay, yeah, now you can start to see some of the low clouds. The good news is, yeah, it looks like they're high enough to where I don't think we'll be driving into any fog. Because that would not be fun if I had to drive through a bunch of fog or anything, just because we wouldn't be able to see anything. Because I remember I filmed one driving video, I think it's still up on YouTube. Is I think a video I did at I-94. I was going out to Kalamazoo, and I was driving most of the time through fog, and I don't even know why I even filmed the video in the first place. Especially since I ended up filming the same stretch of I-94 going east. Yeah, Michigan has quite a bit of freeways, I'd say, and of course we're on one right now. I'm almost curious why US Highway 23 is not an interstate. Of course, then again, I don't know exactly what goes into what makes a freeway an interstate standard, but I feel like it could be one. Especially going from 475 down in Sylvania, Ohio, going all the way up to I-75 just south of Flint. It's like even if it was something like I-875 or something. But I think there have been I've talked about this in one or two other drive videos I've done here in Michigan. But I think there's been talks about having an interstate, another interstate that goes like along like 223 and then 127 going all the way up to Mackinac. Although I don't know, I don't think that'll happen. Well, you never know though. hard to say. It's like, yeah, it's like there's pros and cons to freeway expansion, which I think I talked about that in one of my past videos. So I think I filmed last year, where it's like, yeah, allows for a lot more non-stop travel to where they're not having to stop a bunch of traffic lights or anything like that to get from one place to another a lot quicker. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, depending on where you have to build freeways, you may have to tear down a bunch of forests, woods, or residential areas. And it's like, yeah, I'd be pretty ticked off if I were to live in a community and I had to leave my house and move because they wanted to build a freeway on top of it. So right now we are in Milan, Michigan, which is on the edge of Washtenaw and Monroe County, which you would just cross into Monroe County now. Okay, I'm not getting back over. But yeah, I could totally see 23 being upgraded to Interstate standard or something at some point. Maybe not get like a brand new freeway number, or it would get a new freeway number, but maybe something like, yeah, like in the lines of 875. I don't think they would do like 675 because there's an I-675 up in Saginaw. And of course 275 is over in the Metro Detroit area, 475 is in Flint, and also of course the one down in Toledo. So it'd be like an 875 or something. Or they could do something like 175 or 575 or 775, although I don't think they'll do that just because it's harder to say that, but it's hard to say. But yeah, there are quite a bit of interstates that go through Michigan, although mostly in the southern half of the state, because it's like once you get north of M-46, there is only one interstate in the state of Michigan, that's I-75. There's like I-69's in southern Michigan, I-96 and I-94 in southern Michigan, at least in terms of the major interstates. Well, I guess the one exception is I-675 up in Saginaw, because that's technically north of M-46. But yeah, it's like when it comes to interstates in Michigan, yeah, I'm trying to think. My favorite one's probably I-75, just because like it is the longest interstate in the state of Michigan, and it goes through all sorts of different environments. Because it goes through Detroit, of course, Metro Detroit. Although the road work that they're doing makes it a little bit of a drag, but oh well. But yeah, especially once you get up to northern Michigan, it's very scenic. We get a lot of beautiful scenery up in the northern part of the state. And of course, the Mackinac Bridge. And then my least favorite is probably I-94, just because I feel like anytime I travel on I-94, whether it's west or east, between Ann Arbor and for sure, Benton Harbor, St. Joseph, maybe even all the way down to Indiana, it's very heavy truck traffic. And of course, the main thing is because of the high travel between Detroit and Chicago. But it's like it's mostly 2 lanes, and it's like, yeah, you have all sorts of truck traffic that goes on I-94, and it can slow down traffic significantly. Yeah, it's a very heavily traveled corridor, so it's like you have to have a lot of patience driving on I-94. And not only that too, but there are some areas of I-94 that they need to repave because the pavement's pretty bad in some areas. there's the stretch of I-94 that's going northeast out of like Metro Detroit, going out to Port Huron, and like the stretch between the Chesterfield Township area going all the way up to like to the Port Huron area. It's a very dull stretch just because it's very flat, nothing but farmland. So it's like if you're driving on that freeway, it's almost like, all right, can I get to Canada already, please? Because that stretch of I-94 is pretty common for traffic to go from Detroit to into Canada if it didn't want to cross over to into Canada over across the Detroit River going over into Windsor. And then of course you have the US highways, which parts of it are freeway standard too, like of course here are 23, and then there's US 127 that's just south, goes from just south of Jackson going all the way up to I-75 south of Grayling, although there is a small stretch up in north of St. John's, Michigan, which is not a freeway, but just a divided highway where the speed limit's a little bit lower and you got at-grade intersections. And then there's 131, which is a freeway like between the Portage, Michigan area going all the way up to Manton, Michigan, which is just north of Cadillac. And 131, of course, goes through Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo. And then there's even Highway 31, because you got the freeway that goes up from Indiana going past Niles, and then it ends just south of I-94. Then it runs concurrent with I-196 out near South Haven and Holland, and then there's a freeway portion of Highway 31 from Grand Haven going all the way up to Ludington. And we are coming into Dundee, Michigan. Like over to the right, you can see Cabela's, which is a huge outdoor store, kind of like Bass Pro Shops. Although I think Cabela's, I could be wrong about this, but I think Cabela's is owned by Bass Pro Shops, or it could be vice versa. Regardless, it's an outdoor store. But it's like, yeah, I've been to that Cabela's before. It's a pretty interesting store. It's like, yeah, of course, a whole bunch of outdoor stuff, and they also have a lot of stuff like hunting, camping, different things like that. It's like, yeah, I don't go into those type of stores very often or much at all, like Cabela's or Bass Pro Shops. So when it comes to like sporting goods stores, like anything like for the outdoors, I tend to go like more like to Dick's Sporting Goods or REI for a lot of that stuff. It's like, although I do like the Bass Pro Shops that's up in Auburn Hills, Michigan, though. Oh, here's the River Raisin. Because yeah, the Bass Pro Shops in Auburn Hills, and I think other ones have them too. Like there's this really huge fish tank that has all sorts of different fish in there, so it's really cool to look at. Like back when I was going to school at Oakland University, there were some Fridays after my last class where I would go over to Great Lakes Crossing Mall, which was a huge indoor outlet mall, and I usually like to go into Bass Pro Shops just to look at that big fish tank. It's a really cool feature of that store. It's like I would go just to go there, and then yeah, it's like although I'm not into hunting or anything like that at all, but still it's cool sort of walk around and just to browse. But yeah, it's like I'm not really into hunting at all. Like I've never gone hunting before, and it's like I personally don't see the appeal behind it or anything. It's like yeah, it's one thing. Yeah, if you're in survival mode, you're out in the woods and you're stranded somewhere. It's like yeah, for survival, yeah, absolutely. It's like yeah, you gotta do it. All you can do to survive, but it's like when it comes to doing it as like a recreational activity, it's like I don't see the appeal behind it. Like, it's like no problem if it's like I don't have any issue with people going to go hunting or anything, because it is a pastime here in Michigan. So yeah, it's like I'm not one of those people who it's like you should not go hunting, I forbid you. I'm not like that or anything. But it's like as for like it's as more of a personal thing. It's like I eat animals, of course, because I have burgers, I have chicken, I have turkey, and things like that. But I'm not the one who would, again, unless it's for survival purposes. I just can't ever see myself harming an animal or anything like that. It's like I'd be the one who'd be heartbroken if I had to like kill a goat or something. But again, that's just me, and it's like maybe it's because I care about animals too much. But again, I consider myself an omnivore because I eat, not only I do eat meat, but I also eat plants, of course, as well too. But it's like, I don't know, it's like when it comes to eating meat, it's like I would have a hard time eating something that, like, I just don't see myself killing an animal or anything. Yeah, and of course at the same time I eat meat, but at the same time, it's like, I look at it this way too, it's like there's the food chain to where it's like, just like how, like bears, for example, they'll eat a lot of different plants and vegetation, and they'll also eat like fish, for example. Lions will eat the different animals like antelope or wildebeest and a lot of like smaller mammals. Just like human beings, they're at the top of the food chain. They eat chicken, they eat beef, or they eat cattle. So it's like I look at it that way too. So it's kind of like a happy medium, I'd say, for me. It's like, yeah, it's like I eat meat, but I don't. It's like I'm not the one who's going to kill the animal, because I care about animals a little too much. But it's not a bad thing, though. But again, I'm not telling anybody you have to be like me. It's like everybody has their own preferences. Like a lot of people love to go hunting during during the cooler months. They go up to northern Michigan and they go hunting for deer, and they bring back some venison to feed themselves for the winter. And they'll have a steak dinner every night, although with the inflation right now, it's a little expensive to do that, but if you got the money, it's like, why not? And of course, there's the other end of the spectrum where it's like there are people who don't consume any animal products. Like you got vegetarians or vegans who like they'll refuse either just to eat meat, or they don't consume any animal products, including like dairy and egg. It's like, yeah, there's no right or wrong answer. It's like everybody has their own personal preference. We just have to respect everybody's opinions on what they believe in their customs. We can't. It's like you can't force a vegan to eat meat, just like you can't force someone who loves to have a steak dinner every night to be vegan or something like that. topics like this, especially like when I'm out in the countryside like this, and it's like, yeah, I could talk about the area, but it's like, all right, we're seeing some more farmland, and then another minute, hey, I'm seeing some more farmland, and then, yeah, I'm seeing some more farmland. That get a little monotonous. So it's like sometimes when I plan these different driving videos, I always think of different topics to talk about, but other times, it's like they just come up. It's almost like if I'm hosting like a podcast or something. Which, yeah, it would be cool to start a podcast, although I know there's a lot. Starting up a podcast can take quite a bit of effort, especially for me, like when doing these videos and, of course, working at the same time. Because especially when I go off on these different discussion topics, I feel like I'm, again, as I was just saying, it feels like I'm hosting like a podcast. I feel like I'm in a studio and I'm just talking about different subjects. But we're already approaching like the last several miles of the state of Michigan as we head south. We're getting ready to approach the exit for U.S. Highway 223. So, yeah, we're not going to see it just yet, but... Okay, so here's the exit for 223, which if you take that west, that'll take out to Blissfield and eventually to Adrian, Michigan. Well, just to the south of Adrian. As it bypasses downtown Adrian and goes southwest of Adrian College. And then it heads out toward U.S. Highway 127, just south of the big intersection with U.S. Highway 12. But what's interesting is that U.S. Highway 223, it doesn't end there. It continues along 23 south. Because it goes all the way into Ohio, but then it stops at the first exit in Ohio. To be honest, I'm not sure why they do that. Because it would make more sense to have 223 begin and end at that interchange back there. It's like the concurrency here just does not make any sense. It's like I'd love to know the reasoning behind that. We have another few miles to go and then we'll be into Ohio. I'm seeing a lot of clouds way off to the south, like probably south of Toledo. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise you. It could have been some of the rain that we saw, pop-up thunderstorms that we saw yesterday. Because, yeah, we had 2 or 3 days where we had quite a bit of rain, although not so much yesterday. It was more just the pop-up variety. So yeah, this exit back here, as well as the upcoming exit for Stearns Road, yeah, we take those east, that'll take out toward, especially Stearns Road, that'll take out to Lambertville and Temperance, Michigan. Which, what's cool about Lambertville and Temperance is that they're towns in Michigan, yet they're considered suburbs of Toledo. Because, yeah, no sooner after you drive south of, like, Lambertville, for example, you're in the Toledo area. But it's pretty cool how you have different cities in the United States where they'll have suburbs in which go into other states. It's a huge thing, especially in the northeastern United States, with all the states, for the most part, being on the smaller side. And of course, you got the big cities like New York, for example, which of course the metropolitan area goes into, not only of course in New York State, but also to New Jersey, and then also into Connecticut. cities like Kansas City, where the main, like you have two Kansas cities. You got the main one in Missouri, and then you got the smaller one across the Missouri River in, wait, I don't know, that may not be the Missouri River. I'm not 100% sure about that, but going across the border into Kansas, there's Kansas City, Kansas as well too, and then of course there's all the different suburbs of both Kansas cities, which are in Missouri and Kansas. So we are about to leave the state of Michigan, and we're going to be entering Ohio. Because yeah, coming up here, it's like near these transmission lines. Yeah, here, yeah, you have the sign for Ohio. So we are now in Ohio. We're in the city of Sylvania and Lucas County, Ohio. So yeah, we're only going to go down to I-475 in this video, which got another couple minutes left to go. So yep, yeah, here's the exit for Highway, Ohio State Highway 51 and also 184. So this is where US Highway 223 ends, which again, it technically should end at the interchange back up in Michigan, but I didn't plan that. But yeah, I have filmed a video on I-475 before. I'll have to check to see how long ago I filmed that, because I may refilm it if it was before I have the GoPro, just to have it look much better quality. It won't be, if I were to do that, it won't be today. I am planning other driving videos today. I'm gonna be traveling west from this area though. There'll be more back into Michigan, however. So we are approaching the interchange with I-475. And once we pass this interchange, US Highway 23 continues south and it runs concurrently with I-475 going all the way down to Perrysburg before it meets up with I-75. Alright, so yep, we are approaching the interchange. We can see, I can see the exit now for it. I just realized I haven't had a sip of water since I started this video. I should do that once I finish this video. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this video here on US Highway 23 South, going from M-14 near Ann Arbor all the way down to I-475 in Sylvania, Ohio. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to click that subscribe button to come along and join me for the adventure. And don't forget to click that notification bell so that way you know when a new video is live. Well, thank you for watching, and this is Scott, or the Scottman, signing out here from the Toledo area here in Northwest Ohio.